Welcome to Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams. If you have questions about how to build your weight loss business, Carol Clark has answers. Join her each week as she and her expert guests share actionable steps to better outcomes for your clients and more revenue and referrals for you. It's time to experience your ultimate success and enjoy what you do each and every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams, where we are here once again with Dr. Wendy Cinta, the nationally and internationally known medical weight loss physician. And we are here to talk about something a little bit different than patient care, although it involves patient care. We're going to get to know Dr. Cinta's techie side. So without further ado, I'm going to let her share a little bit about her background, including the technological background that she has. So let's hear it, Dr. Cinta.
Okay, so my background is in electrical and computer engineering. So I did that for about 6 years before I became a physician, or before I started my medical school, and really did a lot with programming and software. And you know, you wonder how these things are going to help you in the future. But I think when you undergo an engineering training, you start to look at things like systems, and so. You know, anytime I'm looking at the way my clinic is running, I'm thinking, how can I make it more efficient? So I was actually approached a couple of years ago by an investor and a friend of mine who's very bright, who said, I want to start a software company and I have an investor and I want to do something with patient engagement. So 3 years later, we have a company called 3 Pound Health. It is definitely a startup. We just launched, we did a soft launch last year and a real launch this past, last month at the Obesity ASBP meeting, which is now OMA. And we had a wonderful reception. So what we have created is a software enterprise, or what's actually known as a patient engagement enterprise. And it consists of an app on a phone and also a dashboard where a coach can use it to keep a patient engaged during the course of the weight loss process. On the app, we have nutrition, behavioral parameters, exercise that the patient can enter. They can record their meds and their labs and their weights and graph them and things like that. But I think more important is what the dashboard does. And this is something where you can actually look at all the patients that you're seeing throughout the course of your practice and see how often they're logging and how engaged they are. And then the software itself allows you to determine who's in trouble and send a message predictively to the people that are struggling. So it's really nice because it keeps the patient knowing that you're connected to them even between visits.
Right. And I think for any practitioners here that coach clients, you realize that engagement is so important for long-term success, because it's so easy for patients to find an excuse not to follow through on what you're trying to help them do, what you're trying to teach them. So engagement, I think, at least I know in our clinic, we find that to be a huge issue, and you try to do everything you can to engage them. And everybody engages a little bit differently, so having this additional tool will be very helpful. What have you seen so far in terms of outcomes with those that have been beta testing?
So it's nice because we've actually got several hundred patients now that are on it, a good chunk of whom are in my practice. And they have definitely been more engaged and have done better in terms of weight loss than those who are not connected. And it's on the order of a whole standard deviation difference. So it is a huge difference. And their time to goal is faster. And my efficiencies are faster because I can know what I'm getting into before I go into the rooms. And also just, I think it all goes back to behavior, right? I mean, we really, even if we know what we're supposed to do, sometimes don't do it. And part of that is because you could have a bad day, or you could be going through something in your family, a divorce, or, a tragedy, or you just, woke up not feeling yourself. But anything can kind of send you in the wrong direction. So the important thing for us, I think, is to be able to catch that before it becomes a couple of bad days or a bad week, or then goes into I don't care about this anymore. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. So that's been huge. And it's also, I mean, to answer your question, also as far as what it's done that I haven't been able to do, it's allowed me to have a maintenance program, which is very affordable for my patients and keeps them connected to the practice truthfully for life.
Right. Right. Can you talk a little bit about how, a lot patients have access to lots of different things. How do you train the patient to begin using the app and get comfortable with it so that they're not overwhelmed by one more thing they need to keep up with?
So I think, first of all, the app itself is very fun to use. It's very engaging. It gives you a lot of feedback back in terms of pretty pictures and it breaks your food down during the day into the temporal components of it, but also like the nutritional components. Anyone who likes to graph things is going to enjoy working with it. So that helps. But also what we do is when we have new patients coming into the practice, before they even start, we say, this is what we expect you to do, is to use this app because it allows you to stay connected with a coach. I oversee everybody, but then each of my staff is also connected, especially my nursing staff, to a patient so that they have their individual coach in addition to me kind of making sure that things are going well from a helicopter view. And
right.
They love it. They love being able to know that someone is really paying attention. It's one thing to log your food, for yourself, but it's a whole other thing when you are logging your food and somebody is, writing back saying, good job, you had a great day, or, oh, it looks like the afternoon was a little tough. Let's think about what we can do to make that better tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Right. And then for the software, do you just roll that into your program, so to speak, in terms of the cost for that to be able to keep up with that?
So the cost is $4 per patient per month, so it's a very reasonable cost. And so what we do is we've just rolled that $4 into what we would normally use as a materials fee, and
right.
then it's incorporated. We actually, as I said, we now have 50 patients in maintenance, and it's incorporated into the maintenance cost, which that makes it very reasonable to be able to stay connected to us with something that's not going to break the bank.
Right. And we just talked at our last podcast a little bit about being in-network versus being more of a out-of-network cash pay. And that's one of the joys of having something like this, because you can just roll it in and work your prices the way that'll work for the client as well as for the physician in the practice.
Right. And for me, I think something that drives me crazy is when technology is pushed to physicians. Like electronic medical records, they were forced to use them. They were intrusive. They were, really got in the way of the patient-clinician relationship. And this type of technology kind of works in the background, and it just sort of does the problem solving for you and says, okay, doc, or okay, coach, these are the people you need to focus on today because they're struggling. The rest of these guys are good. We'll just send them general messages. So it's
right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I know we've had the pleasure of getting to take a peek at it. And I know one of the things that we really like about it is the way the coach can actually set up meal plans for the patient right within the application, which is really pretty cool. Can you talk about some of those other little features like that?
Yes, it sort of sets it aside from things like MyFitnessPal and some of the other, free apps that you see that are on the web, because your nutritionist or your clinician can actually put in, excuse me, what he or she wants you to eat during the day. And certainly it's much easier to log when you have your list of foods that you're supposed to be eating on, and you can just click it as opposed to, looking up something. Now, that's not saying that you can't look it up. You can still look it up and scan it if there's a barcode on the food and things like that. But it just makes it easier for you. And it also gives you much less choices, which when you're losing weight, we've all seen that does help long-term with the weight loss process. The less choices, the better.
Right, kind of less overwhelming for them.
Right. So the choice, I always say the choice that we make for you is probably going to be a little bit better than the choice you would make, particularly if you're having a day where you're very vulnerable.
Right. I believe that is absolutely correct. So that's pretty cool. Are there any other specific features to it that maybe you wanted to highlight, or?
So I think, we also have a place where you can put your meds in, and it will, if you miss your med at a time that you're supposed to take it, you'll get a text that says, you forgot to take your medication. Do you want to take it, yes or no? And that's very nice, especially when you've got patients who might be on appetite suppressants, and, you may tell them to take another half in the afternoon, and you don't want them to forget that. and also I think that's important, the med component of it, when it comes to, that patient going to other doctor's visits, they can say, here's what I'm on, this is everything, it's right here, right now. There's a place to put blood work in, there's a place to put all your measurements in, and then your activity, which is cool. And again, it graphs it, and we're hoping to eventually have trophies and different types of things like that to be able to give you a little kudos after you work out. So it's a great platform. I'm very proud of it. It's been 3 years in the working. I think we got it right this time.
Right. I think it's pretty cool too that practitioners who are dealing and coaching clients and working with patients day in and day out are the people that are creating the app and determining what's going to be included in it, because certainly you know what they need, and that's helpful.
Right. It's nice to be able to be working with someone else. My colleague in this, Dr. Bob Crone, is also probably more gifted in just about everything than I am, but extremely gifted in the technology side of things. So he's very much a visionary. So he can almost see into what's heading in the future and what kind of things we have to work on. So, I think we mentioned a little bit about value-based incentives, which are, on the horizon and in many places already there for physicians. So having healthier patients is going to help the physicians get reimbursed. So if you have a tool that's not going to cost your patients much, that's going to help them be healthier, then it certainly makes sense to be able to, use it in your practice.
Right. So if listeners wanted to find out a little bit more about 3 Pound Health, how would they go about doing that?
So the webpage is 3poundhealth.com, and you'll see some information about it on there. And there's a number you can call at the bottom of the webpage if you're interested in a demo or to learn more about it. I believe it's also on my webpage at weightlosscny.com.
All right. Awesome. Any other technology that you use in your office particularly that you find really helpful?
I think, I think everything that I do is going to eventually be tied to this particular project. But, I think we use bioelectrical impedance like you guys do, metabolic profiles, and, being able to have a patient use that and track those parameters, their fat percentage, their fat mass, things like that is helpful too. But anything that, we all have our cell phone with us all the time, right? Mine's very large. But go big or go home. But if we can find a way to not make it intrusive for the clinician and also for the patients, then we're apt to use it. So,
right.
The things I try to get my patients to do, I try to do through their phone.
Right. Which is a good way to do. You're right. They have it with them at all times, and it's a great way to be engaged with them, like we've been talking about. And the important thing is that your patients know, like, and trust you. And so, if you're the one delivering that application to them, it's much more likely, I would think, to have that as something they would trust and use versus something that they just find randomly on the internet. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And patient feedback that you've had so far, have you had much from the patients? I'm sure you have, about their feedback related to it. You mentioned a couple things.
They do. They really seem to love it, and especially the messaging component. So I am available to message at any given moment in time when they're on NUCO. And so, they love to know that I'm looking and that I can see how they're doing and give them advice. You don't want it to replace your electronic medical record. That's not the point. But if there's something easy that you can see, I'll give you a great example. I had a patient this weekend say to me, I can't figure out why I'm not losing weight. I'm exercising every day. I'm following my plan. I said, okay, let me take a look. And I looked it up on Sunday, and he hadn't logged in, 2 to 3 weeks. I had no information about the food. So it was really easy for me to just sort of say, look, you got to remember, it's, the exercise feels good and it's great, but the weight loss comes from the nutrition, and the way that I can help you figure out if the nutrition is right is if you're logging. So if you could do that, then we can problem solve it better. So just things like that. Now that patient might have dropped off, right? I mean, they might have said, oh gosh, I've plateaued, and this is where I always plateau, and I'm just going to give up. But no, they're engaged and they're going to start logging. He is tracking. I saw this morning. So, sometimes it's just a matter of just a little tweak like that can throw the whole thing off.
Right. And for the patients reporting their weights, do they enter that themselves right from the app, or?
So what we do is we have them enter it. We give them a piece of paper when they go on the scale. Now, we do tie to certain scales like Withings and things like that can get automatically entered. We've already developed the software for that to happen. But Withings and Moves are the two that are automatically entered now through the Bluetooth. But we give them the paper and then they enter it while they're waiting for me to come into the room, which gives them something to do during that time too.
Right. That's where I was going with that. So that's great that there's some technology that will automatically enter that. I know it's great too, because for some national databases, as we're tracking patients' outcomes for a long period of time, especially for like bariatric surgery, we have to report that. And sometimes, people are very mobile. They're not in one area. They may see you there and move somewhere. So it helps keep you connected too when people are a little bit more transient.
Absolutely.
So that's really pretty exciting.
And if I'm also, sending them to another clinic. So for example, when we, this is getting cold in upstate New York around this time of the year, and you got a lot of people that are going south to Florida for 6 months or so. And, we can still track them from here, or we can get them hooked up with another clinician down there and follow them.
All right. All right. Well, I wanted to hear a lot about this. I really appreciate you filling us in on that. Is there any other, are you able to give us any sort of other little peek to see what might be coming?
I think you're going to start to see, in the future with the Yuko product, you're going to start to see more and more devices get added on, and hopefully we will be able to come up with some portable devices that can actually fit in your back pocket that will help with the data entering automatically. So stay tuned. There's lots of good stuff ahead.
Awesome. Well, we feel excited to be able to help utilize it with some patients. So that's going to be really cool. So
what do you think?
All right. Well, awesome. Anything else you wanted to share, Dr. Cinta? Otherwise, we'll make it a wrap.
No, I think you got most of the stuff that's in my brain through your Vulcan Mind Grip. If there's anything else, we can share it perhaps in the next podcast.
All right. We have one other quick question for you. You deal a lot with children and adolescents, which a number of physicians don't as much. Do you see this technology being something because of that age and they're so much more used to using their phone? Do you find that they're more receptive to it, or is it about the same? Any difference?
It's amazing how good the kids are at sticking to it. I think part of it is because they grew up with this in their, as part of their repertoire, having a cell phone. So my kids who are using Yuko, and I try to get as many of them to use it as possible, are some of my best loggers. And they love to be able to communicate, with me, and they'll send me little pictures and stuff. Is very cute. So, but I think on that note, it's super important to, when you're developing software for kids, you need to understand that they need to be entertained and there needs to be a gain in quality to it. So I think you're going to see like a spin-off of this that will be a little bit more fun and more kid related. Right.
Yeah, I can imagine, but that's their world. So yeah. Awesome. Well, very good. Well, I appreciate your time so much, Dr. Cinta, for taking the time to be with us again, backed by popular demand. And there's many more topics I could talk to you about, but we'll save that for another podcast. And just wanted to say, everyone, if you wanted to reach out to Dr. Cinta, remember it's 3poundhealth.com, and she's right there in Fayetteville, New York.
And weightlosscny.com for my health information.
Weightlosscny.com. So check it out, and we will lots more people using the 3 Pound Health and become a wave of the future.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Take care. Thanks again.
Bye.
That's all for this episode of Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and visit weightlosspracticebuilder.com to stay up to date on more ways to build a successful practice that you love with results, revenue, and referrals. We look forward to having you join us next time.